Welcome to the Be It Till You See It podcast, where we talk about taking messy action, knowing that perfect is boring. I'm Leslie Logan, Pilates instructor and fitness business coach. I've trained thousands of people around the world, and the number one thing I see stopping people from achieving anything is self-doubt. My friends, action brings clarity, and it's the antidote to fear. Each week, my guests will bring bold, executable, intrinsic, and targeted steps that you can use to put yourself first and be it till you see it. It's a practice, not a perfect. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Be It Till You See It podcast interview recap, where my co-host in life, Brad, and I are going to dig into the liberating conversation I had with Giselle Schroer.
That's right.
In our last episode, period. If you haven't listened to that interview, feel free to pause this now, go back and listen to that one, and then come back and join us. Or listen to this one, then go back and listen to that one and see if our takeaways match your takeaways.
Yeah.
You do you.
Yeah. You know, someone said to me that they listen to the interview first and then they guess at the interview points that we're going to cover during our recap.
That's fun.
The following episode, and they try to figure out if they identify the same things that we're talking about.
Somehow,
I thought that was cool.
You know what? Somehow we should do a contest and have people like submit their takeaways to see. I don't know how you do a blind though, because like I want to make sure that they don't think that we're being fishy to see what their takeaways are to make our takeaways. But I want people to have to submit, you know, like that marriage contest, like newlyweds.
Oh yeah.
Where like they ask a question, but you'd already written your answer down. You flip the card up. Mm-hmm. I want to do that. How do we do that?
Yeah, we're going to parking lot that idea for now, but I like it.
I'm we do live podcast recaps.
Oh, that would be fun. That could be fun.
That could be fun. Okay, anyways.
Good idea. Let's talk about it later.
Ideas parking lot. Okay, y'all. Brad.
Tell me.
I'm so freaking stoked.
Oh, good.
It's only a few days away that we kick off our fourth 100 With Me challenge, the Me, Myself, and I themed one. 30 days of self-care, being first in your life, filling your cup first,
building healthy habits.
Oh, in a really awesome, safe container, because I am not going to let you judge on yourself, shit on yourself, beat on yourself, all the negative self-talk. If you miss a day, if you miss a day, we are going to change the way that the paths in your brain that go from when you miss doing something you wanted to do for yourself to how you think about yourself afterward. We're changing that. So
I like it.
Anyways,
it's important.
We have hundreds of people signed up.
Yeah, hundreds, literally hundreds.
It's insane.
Yes, and there's still room for more. So if you are not yet signed up, go to 100withme.com.
100.
Join us. You don't want to miss this. This is actually going to be a huge party. It's going to be, I think, even more exciting than any of the other ones we've had, just because we have a lot more people involved. So it's really cool.
We have a ton of people celebrating their fourth 100 With Me.
Yeah. Good for them.
We
love them.
How to give them an OG shirt, but but we want you to join too, because here's the thing: like when you change your environment, you actually can make changes in your life in a way that actually sticks. And so bring your friends, because then you really do change your environment when you're outside of this challenge. But also, you'll all be in this environment together. I'm not going to let you shit all over yourself. I'm going to help you, even if it's 5 minutes a day. We're going to create consistency in your life, even if it's 5 minutes a day. Because
the reality is, a lot of people, what I've noticed, because I'm the numbers guy looking at everything, and I'm literally seeing every post that's happening, is half the people start, if 100% started and they are posting and it's exciting, half of them stop in like a week.
And then they
don't come back. They actually just dip out, and they're like, I fucked it up, I'm out.
Yeah, and that really bothered me. So I actually started, because I don't actually, if you miss a day, it doesn't hurt me, my feelings. We just troubleshoot and figure out how to help you do this in a different way. That's how I see it. But I actually had to go study with a behavior scientist to figure out why this happens. Why do people stop just because they missed a day? And what I found out is everybody does this. You're not alone if you do this.
Yeah.
Everybody is like, super highly motivated in the beginning. They do things, and then, of course, motivation is fickle. We know this. It wanes, and then they miss a day because life freaking happened, and then they think, oh, I just have to stop.
Which is totally normal
or they
and
miss
understandable.
A week, and they're like, I have to stop. It's like, actually, no. We figure out what happened so we can make changes. So when life happens in the future, you don't have to go, oh, that's another thing I can't commit to, another thing I didn't finish.
We could quote Giselle Schroer here.
Oh, let's
She actually said, every single step, no matter how small, is a step in the right direction.
Freaking love it.
And she said that in the last episode. And so it's totally applicable here. You know, if you get started in this episode or in this challenge, and then, you know, in week 2, like, you know, something crazy happens in life and it pulls you completely out of it, come back and join us for week 3. It's okay. You know, like we are not here to judge you. We're not here to, like, you know, put you down because you didn't finish. That's ridiculous. That's not what we're all about. You know that by now. So if you're not in, or even if you're like, I know I'm going to be traveling for 2 weeks, we don't care. Join us for it anyway.
Join us for it anyways, because
meet the community. It's an incredible group of people.
100%. And you will also learn how you can do part of something while you're traveling, so you can keep doing the things that fill your cup first. Because when you're traveling, because we travel a lot to see family, and I do my walks, I do my workouts, I do my things. Why? So that I can hang out with my family and feel freaking awesome doing it. So we're going to help you figure out ways that work for you in smaller, tiny steps, like Giselle said, so that you can actually feel freaking good about yourself and live life for 30 days with all this dopamine going on. Like, you don't have to do 30-minute workouts. You can do 5-minute workouts.
Well, this ties right into our audience question, which was this week, what do you do for self-care? And I know we have a handful of different things, but one of the things that I love to do for self-care is travel. And so, you know, just changing my environment, whether that is like a quick travel where I'm like, I want to go work from the coffee shop today. I used to do that all the time. Less so now because of COVID and all the things, but it's starting to shift again and open up again. Or it's actually traveling, like let's go to Maui, or let's go to, you know, see my folks, like you were just saying, seeing family, whatever. And, you know, what is so awesome is that when you start to build those good habits, those good routines, you can take that with you on the road.
Yeah, they're super good. So let's talk about this audience question. Anyways, before you do that, get your booty signed up for the challenge.
100withme.com.
Okay. So this question, I really love it. I love that you mentioned travel and stuff like that. And I know that you don't use travel as a reward for anything. So that answer doesn't apply to this, but I think oftentimes a lot of people think of self-care things like massages, facials.
Sure.
Even like going shopping as like a reward for doing something, like, oh, you know, I did this thing, I'm gonna go get a facial. And I don't believe that self-care should be treated as rewards for anything. It should absolutely 100% be kind of like the way you think of how much you have to drink water. Like, it's essential for your survival on this planet.
Yeah.
So one of the things Brad does for self-care is like changing his environment and getting out and doing those things. He has some other things he'll share, but I do a lot of things for self-care.
Yeah.
So I actually treat my facials as a routine, not a reward, but my self-care really does start with, I don't have like, it has to be an hour of this and an hour of that, or 20. It's like, I just know that my mornings have to be my self-care. And then I have other things I do throughout the day. I don't know if I've shared this, but I also have blocks of time that I have, because I'm someone who, if my schedule isn't blocked off, things get scheduled in it. So there are blocks of time during my day that are just white space. And then there's a list of things I can choose from to do.
Yeah.
That are self-care. Some of that's breath work. Sometimes it's reading a book. Sometimes it's going for an extra walk or calling a friend. But like, I have a list of things that are self-care for me. And so it doesn't have to be a workout. It doesn't have to be facials and massages, but it does have to make you feel energized when it's over. So I would just ask yourself, like, if you're unsure, because I know some of you right now are like beyond the need for self-care. Like you're
burnt out. Fried.
Burnt out, and the gasoline gauge is like beyond empty, and you are on fumes. Someone is pushing your car up the road to a gas station 10 miles away. Just have to look back at the pictures where you see yourself smiling the most and look at what you were doing. Put that in your list of things to do for self-care. I promise you it's going to make you feel freaking awesome. What else do you do for
I think also it starts with sleep.
Oh, Brad does.
And that's,
sleep for
I'm
self-care.
like, I'm not great at sleep, but I've started this past year with COVID. What I decided to do was take a nap when I'm tired. Like if it's 4:00 and I'm done, I'll close my eyes for 20 minutes.
Sometimes he does it at noon.
Yeah. It just depends if I'm like completely fried. Because what I've realized is that if I can't think well, I'm not serving anybody. I'm not helping me. I'm not actually getting anything done. I'm not helping our team. I'm not writing. I'm not focused. I'm just sitting there doing nothing. It's better for me to sleep than it is to actually pretend that I can get something done.
Well, and everything takes longer when you don't fill your cup. When you are not full, filled, like going back to the gasoline. It takes longer to get gas if you run out of gas. Like you have to push the car to the place. And then you got to fill the whole tank up, not a quarter of the tank, not half, the entire tank. Our van's tank is crazy big. It is insanity. So you don't want to wait until you're at empty to do your self-care. When you need it, you do it. And if it's part of your routine, it's even better.
Yeah. That's an interesting analogy, but we'll go with it for this one. I think that it's applicable. It's a good visual.
I've run out of gas many times.
So, but you know, also too, I often, like for me, self-care is turning my brain off. And I do that by watching a movie. Watching a movie I don't have to think about, you know? So whatever that movie might be, the point is at the end of my day, instead of like sitting there thinking about, reflecting back on my day and thinking and like letting my mind continue to mull over the problems I'm trying to solve, I will stop that by watching a movie and entertaining my brain so that it's just easy not to have to think. So that's one of the things that I do for sure.
Yeah. So I want to hear what other people do for self-care.
What do you do for self-care?
I want to hear like the craziest, coolest things you do for self-care. The list is endless. It's also super personal. So, but it should be part of your daily routine. This is a reward.
Not daily. It doesn't have to be daily.
I don't think self-care. I think self-care is daily.
No, well sure. I don't think that all of the self-care is daily. Like getting your nails done, you don't get that done daily, right? Like so.
True. But getting your nails done is not a reward for doing something in your life. It is just part of the things that make you happy, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so correct. Self-care as a thing on your day is essential. What that ends up being change. It can change.
Yeah,
correct.
Totally.
Okay, I'm glad we made that clear.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, now let's talk about Giselle Schroer.
Yeah.
Giselle Schroer is a mom of 2 boys. They are crazy, crazy busy boys, as she describes. She's a health and nutrition coach, and she's a certified personal trainer. She helps women to learn to love and nurture their bodies from the inside out through a balanced approach to health and fitness. She started her own coaching programs, working in group settings and also one-on-one. And I think that when I wrote this this bio to her, I kind of didn't really talk enough about food because for her, nutrition is priority number 1. And she will, if you listen to her interview, you know why, because she talks about how the lack of taking care of herself actually did not serve her at all later on in life. She's 40 now. I think she said she's 40. And she, but when she was in her teens and 20s, had eating disorders and a lot of really food, issues with food, a terrible relationship with food, and also over-exercising, over-working out. So today, like roughly 10 years ago, she decided, they wanted to have children, and that really changed her path. And she realized, like, wow, I didn't set myself up for this at all from a physical perspective. And so she is now helping women go through that battle of how do you see food in a healthy way, and how do you see working out in a healthy way, as opposed to the unhealthy portrayal that we get from magazines and TV and movies and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, it just was a really refreshing conversation. with her because I think liberating is an appropriate word.
Yeah.
Because I think that where she came from to where she is today it's a huge win. And I'm like so happy for her. And I thought like the way she talked about it made it tangible. Like wow, okay, maybe that's like something that we should all be talking about.
100%. I brought her on because I'm lucky to be around a bunch of women who are in the fitness and wellness industry. And what I love about each woman that I'm bringing on in that industry is it's not what the magazines talk about when it comes to what health and healthy lives and healthy bodies look like. They all are such a proponent of like being your best self and loving the body that you have. And the way she sees food is just it is liberating. That's a good word for it. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So something that I took away from her interview, and I may have shared this in her episode, but if not, I'm sure I'll share it again. But she talked about being your own health advocate. And there's something, really important about that. If you haven't listened to past episodes, you might not know that I suffered for stomach issues for years. And I went to doctors and they literally didn't listen to me, or they kept trying to give me pills that just masked the symptoms. They didn't actually solve the problem. And I don't know who told me that I could tell people no or just find other doctors, but it's so important that if you are going through something that does not feel normal in your body, that if you don't get an answer that actually gets to the solution of the problem, that you keep searching. We have so many friends in our lives who have different interesting issues, and so many times doctors don't really know. So like, well, here's this pill that's going to mask those symptoms, but it doesn't solve the problem. And if I hadn't been my own health advocate, I don't know that I'd be here. I would not be doing this with you, because I was really not in a good, healthy spot for a long time. So everyone, please be your own health advocate.
Yeah. And we are lucky enough that one of our team members, Lindsay, actually teaches people how to be a health advocate, in fact.
Yeah, she made a course for us.
She did. She made a course for us on profitable Pilates, and she did a webinar for our coaching group on the power and the value of being your own health advocate.
And also how to help others be their advocate. So there was a lot of tools for, like, if you have someone in your life who you can see is not getting the help that they want or not being seen in the medical industry the way that they want to be seen, teaching them how they can do that. It's really freaking cool.
Yeah, check out the course. It's go to profitablepilates.com and look at the courses, and you'll find one from Lindsay Moore, and it's about how to be your own health advocate. It's great. Yeah. So, okay. So this was interesting. I don't know if I loved this so much as I related to it. She talked about how, she's 5'10" and was, underweight, a lot underweight. And she was, for her body, she should have been eating, at least 1,500 calories a day, but she was only eating 1,200 calories a day. Or maybe she was just using it as an example. I can't actually remember. But she was talking about how, when you are eating so little, when you do end up eating, the recommended more calories per day than what you're currently eating, your body doesn't know what to do with it, because it goes into the mode of like, well, I guess I need to survive on 1,200 a day. So when you eat 1,500 or 1,800, all of a sudden it's like extra food, I'll store it as fat, right? And it really jacks up your system, even though you're quote unquote eating a normal serving, right? So
you did air quotes there.
I did the air quotes. I did that. I also did say quote unquote. I did say that.
Oh, okay, you did. Yeah. That's true. Quote unquote.
Quote unquote. But basically, she was talking about weight and weighing. It's okay to weigh more. It's and eating the appropriate amount of food. And this is counterintuitive, because I know that, when you think about food, generally, the generalization is, oh, I'm overeating. I'm eating too much, right? And I actually personally had the opposite problem. I wasn't eating enough, and I didn't even know I wasn't eating enough. And because I don't have a scale in my house and I hardly look in the mirror. I would just go to the office and I would always skip breakfast. I was in a very emotionally difficult time in my life, and I was going to the office. I would never eat breakfast, and then I would throw myself into work. I'd have coffee, and then, all of a sudden it'd be like, oh shit, it's 3:00. I got to leave here at 5:30 anyway. I might as well not even take lunch. I'll just keep working, and then I'll leave here at 5 so that I can get home and I can eat dinner. And then I would go home and I would eat a whole pizza, or I would make a steak or whatever. And at the end of the day, literally the only thing I'd eaten was dinner, which was maybe I was gorging myself and I was still only eating 1,200, 1,500 calories, right? And
if that, I mean, you don't understand, like, it's hard to eat a lot of calories in one sitting.
Right. So, and then, but, compound that by 6 months of doing that, and I lost 10 pounds, and I didn't have 10 pounds to lose, but I didn't even realize I had lost 10 pounds. Right. Yeah. And then, a friend of mine was like, bro, are you okay? You look thin. I was like, what? No, I'm fine. And they're like, are you sure? Like, go weigh yourself. I weighed 10 pounds less than what I thought I weighed. And it was actually a legit challenge to learn when and how to eat appropriately, so that I was actually trying to get in roughly 2,000 calories a day, right? Or at least more than what I was eating before. So it started off with me by getting a calorie counting app, which is something that Giselle talked about, because I was actually counting. For me, it was a wake-up call to how little I was actually eating.
And the thing is that literally food is your fuel. It really, really is. And
coffee is not your fuel, as much as we love coffee.
I freaking love it. It is a superfood. But the thing that I've seen in the fitness industry is just that, like, so many of my clients are undereating. Most of my clients are women. My athletes were definitely very fueled. We could learn something from them. They are, like, very intentional about their fueling.
Right.
But so many of the women that I would train, they were under eating, and they were wondering why they didn't look different or didn't feel different. And it's because what we don't understand is that we have a weird relationship with food, and Giselle talks about that. She talks about negatives and positives when it comes to it. And so I just think it's really important, if you are at all interested in making sure that you're fueling yourself correctly, you definitely want to hire a nutritionist. This is something that, like, I ended up having to do because after so many years of stomach issues, I was told, can't eat that, can't eat that, can't eat that. We got down to, like, not eating a lot of things. And because of how busy my life is, that wasn't good enough for me. Like, I couldn't live off of that. I didn't feel fueled. I felt exhausted all the time. I felt stressed and hangry. And I
mean, you would come home from the studio and go to sleep.
Yeah. And so anyways, when I met with a nutritionist, she actually helped me figure out what foods worked for me. And it's a very personal, specific thing. This is not something you don't want to pull off diets off the internet. And diets don't mean that you're going on a diet. Diet just means the way you eat your food. Yeah. So super, super important. Something that I was striving for so long, and I feel very successful at now, is that, like, I don't live on a restrictive lifestyle of how I eat, and I eat for fuel so I can do things like this, so I can talk with all of you, so I can film, so I can coach, so I can be present. And so I think
well, let's talk more about that in the next section.
Okay. But anyways, I did love that she also brought up it's okay to weigh more, because I also think that I think very few women are very confident in how they look. And that's based on how the media tells us what is pretty. And one of the things that I have seen just in being a trainer is how different sizes can do amazingly awesome things. And so it is not about what you weigh. It is really all about how you feel. And so please take that as a note, because it's really important to me that people just feel good and feel strong.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things she said about 10 times in the last episode. It's like, you don't even know how good you can feel until, you feel good.
Right.
And I was like, wow, isn't it? It's like
such a simple thing, but also so profound.
Yeah, it's so liberating.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So,
All right. Finally, let's talk about the beit action items from your combo with Giselle Schroer. What bold, executable, intrinsic, or targeted action items can we take away from your convo with her? Why don't you go first?
Oh,
we could pick up that thought.
So hire a health coach because, as I mentioned, I hired a nutritionist. I actually have hired many health coaches to help me out. Y'all, I definitely had some bad stuff going on. So I hired somebody after being my own advocate. I found someone who did these like 278 tests on my body. And
278?
8 tests.
278 tests.
And I did it twice. And then
a couple years apart.
Yep. And then then I realized like how much better I was doing. I also started working with a holistic doctor who we have coming up on the podcast. And she definitely continued to help me save my own life. And then I also work with a nutritionist so I could really figure out what foods worked for me, which ones actually made me feel super strong and able to have energy. And also
I think that's one of the most like that's like the biggest misnomer or misunderstanding is like, again, that food pyramid garbage. The this guy who Lesley worked with designed the diets of astronauts.
Yeah.
Because
they all can't eat the same thing. They have to have different things because we're all different.
Well, think about it. You say that, first off, like, oh, of course the astronauts have to be at absolutely peak performance, optimal, the best they could possibly be, operating because, of the mission of going into space. Like they don't get a second try, right? It's not like you just swap them out. So those guys have to have their they have to be operating at the best possible place they could be. And so consequently, they each have their own diet based on their own body and the blood and all the things and like all this stuff. So when you say that, it's like, well, of course, why would they not? But then somehow we forget to continue that logic because it's the same for us.
Yeah.
Why would it be any different for us? Like, I know we're not going into space, but still, if they're designing a custom nutrition diet for someone who needs to be operating at peak performance, we could take lessons from that for sure.
Yeah. So y'all, I mean, just if you are not feeling like you are like running at your optimal performance, it's okay. Like, awareness is key. And then ask around, like find people who can help you. Find a health coach that will help you. Find a nutritionist or hire someone to do some blood work on you.
Or you could talk to Giselle.
You could talk to Giselle. I mean, like, honestly, it's really, really important to me because you are the only person who can do what you do. And you can't do it if you are not fueled. Can't do it.
Yeah. So I think, hiring a coach to help you through the process is a very, very straightforward, obvious step.
Not necessarily obvious because for my stomach issues, because I had so many problems with doctors, I try to do it myself. And we were like, do you remember the time we stopped cooking with oil?
Yeah,
we didn't cook with oil. So like
for 6 months.
I promise you.
It was annoying.
And it wasn't even the oil. So here's what I'm going to say. I know it costs money. I know it does. But your time is also money and your health is not something to screw up with. As you heard from Giselle, like what happened with her and her desire to have children was totally affected by her not being fueled correctly and by not like taking care of her health. So
prior to that. Yeah.
Prior to that.
Exactly.
So everyone listening, ladies, and my gentlemen too, but ladies, this is not something to DIY. Hire an expert. And if you don't like that expert, find someone you trust. Find someone you like. Ask your friends. Listen to the last episode. We talked about you're one referral away. I'm literally the people who save my life are all people I was referred to. So there you go. What did you like? What was your beit one?
Yeah. So for me, it was about stress. And she said, and she was talking about like self-image and body image and body awareness, but she said unfollow and get rid of negativity in your life. Yeah. Obviously, she's talking about social media, and what she was specifically talking about, like when you're, changing the way you, changing your relationship with food, it would serve you to also change the things you're consuming, from your social media. So she talked about getting rid of the things that make you feel guilty, getting rid of the things that make you feel that shame, that start that mental conversation of beating yourself up. I had a different connection with that, in that for me, it was actually quitting my job. Was this negativity that was in my life. And it was like a crushing weight of stress, and, guilt and fear, and like to the point where my cell phone would ring and my heart would jump into my throat, and I would wake up in a panic, and like, I didn't even know how I got that deep into like the stress and the fear of that thing. And I was just talking with someone about this, just a few days ago. It literally took me 6 months after leaving that job for my stress levels for me to realize what was a quote unquote normal amount of stress, as opposed to the insanely high stress environment that I used to work in, which was unbelievably unhealthy.
Yeah. I really love this. She had some great ones actually, but this one was really great because I do think it's really easy for us to go, okay, I'm going to do this for my routine. I'm going to do this for my habits. And then we open up our Instagram and we see all these things that like literally make us not feel good about ourselves.
Sure.
And you can mute things on some channels. You can hide for 30 days. Like Facebook has a, like unfollow for 30 days, or Instagram has like a mute, whatever. It doesn't mean it's forever. It just like, yeah. I actually think it's so important that we take responsibility for the things that like put us on a downward spiral. And there was a time when I literally had to, I went into my podcast and I took all of our news podcasts and I just literally was like, don't download, don't show me, don't download all of them. And I just went for 3 months. It wasn't even a long time. Maybe that's a long time to a lot of people. I left one up so I could stay in the know. And I just did that. And I'm not kidding. My creativity came back. My energy came back. Some things came back. And then when I was able to control my reaction to those things, then I was able to add some of those podcasts back in. And so sure. I think it's so important for us to go realize that, when you're not in a great place, when the muscles, like think of your like ability to deal with negativity, and all those things, think of it as a muscle. When you go to the gym and you haven't been to the gym in a long time, picking up a 50-pound weight, you might be able to do it, not going to be fun the next day, right? It's not going to make you feel good. But if you were to start and get stronger, like start with 5 pounds and add 15, whatever, you get stronger. Then you go to pick that 50 pounds. It's like super easy. So once I was able to get myself to a place where I could handle like filtering things in and not embodying the things that were making me feel, then I added them back in and I was able to go, that's that thing. I don't actually have to take that on. And so I just think it's really important.
I think that's like so, such a parallel to the conversation to what Giselle was saying about her relationship with food. Mm-hmm. When she was younger, she was so connected to the way she wanted to look. And so she starved herself. She over-exercised. She did not eat anything healthy, right, to achieve this look. And she really damaged her body. And then, but then like, how is it today that she's like winning? Like, she's 10 years ago is when she started to change her relationship with food, and her change wasn't like flip the next day. No, it was a slow conversation, a mental battle, right? And so kind of what you're describing about hitting pause for 3 months and then slowly bringing it back in when you're in a different place and you can think about it differently. That's kind of what Giselle was talking about too, with how she slowly began to change the way she thinks about food, thinks about exercise. It's
just amazing. And if you're listening to this and you're struggling with anything right now, please, if you don't hire a health coach, at least seek out a therapist in the area of health and fitness and nutrition, disordered eating. You're not alone. And especially right now is something that is really happening, because what else do we have to control over except for like how much we move or what we eat? And so please do not at all feel shame around that. And if you know someone who's going through this, help them be their own advocate.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. I'm Lesley Logan.
And I'm Brad Crowell.
Thank you so much for joining us today, every day, whenever you listen to this. It brings me so much joy. It brings us so much joy. We love talking about the takeaways and your reviews. Your reviews are insane. They're so freaking heartfelt, and they make me cry.
They're very encouraging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let us know how you're going to use any of these tips in your life by just screenshotting this episode, posting it on Instagram,
or leaving it in a review.
Or leave it in a review, and then send us a DM.
Yeah.
We love hearing from you, love knowing who's listening to this, wherever you're listening from, and we will catch you on the next episode. Until next time, be it till you see it.
Bye for now.
That's all I got for this episode of the Be It Till You See It podcast. One thing that would help both myself and future listeners is for you to rate the show and leave a review. And follow or subscribe for free wherever you listen to your podcast. Also, make sure to introduce yourself over at the Be It Pod on Instagram. I would love to know more about you. Share this episode with whoever you think needs to hear it. Help us and others be it till you see it. Have an awesome day. Be It Till You See It is a production of As the Crows Fly Media.
It's written, produced, filmed, and recorded by your host, Lesley Logan, and me, Brad Crowell.
Kevin and Belle at Disenyo handle all of our audio editing and some social media content.
Our theme music is by Ali at Apex Production Music, and our branding by designer and artist Gianfranco Cioffi.
Special thanks to our designer Jaira Mondal for creating all of our visuals, which you can't see because this is a podcast, and our digital producer Jay Pedroso for editing all the video each week so you can.
And to Meredith Crowell for keeping us all on point and on time.